So it's a little bit of Hercules and a little bit of Orpheus set in Africa with this weird psychedelic Jodorowsky vibe. Better than food, man. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Better Than Food Book Reviews. I'm your host, Clifford Lee Sargent. Great to see you as always. Hope you're doing well. Feels like something's missing. Oh, get that coffee. I'll take any excuse to take another drink. Well, I hope you're doing well. Not much to report on this end. Nothing interesting going on out in the world whatsoever. I got my couch back. Had to kill a man. By the way, I have international Amazon links below that you can purchase the book from. If you do so, it helps support the show and keep this whole thing going. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Also, if you'd like to support the show, the mugs are below. Thanks a bunch. Today's episode is brought to you by the Ridge Wallet. It's light, sleek, industrial, doesn't fold or awkwardly bulge in your back pocket. It's designed to fit into your front pocket. And it has seriously changed up my whole pocket situation and freed up some much needed space. It's a great execution of design, I've got to say. Good, efficient engineering. Room for cash on the back. There's over 30 colors and styles to choose from, including carbon fiber. This one's awesome. It has a 3K weave pattern. And, of course, burnt titanium. Dope. The durable material means that each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. You can buy this one wallet and carry it for life. You're literally never going to need another wallet. This is the last one you'll need to buy. If you're buying a holiday gift for someone who likes Blade Runner or William Gibson or Mad Max, if this wasn't enough to win you over yet, check out their 30,000 5-star reviews. Get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/betterthanfood and using the code betterthanfood. The link is below. Thanks a bunch. So today let's talk about one of the strangest books I've ever read. This was a recommendation from the comments section. I forget which review though. Today is The Palm Wine Drinkard by Amos Tutuola. Amos Tutuola was a Nigerian author from Lagos who wrote this folkloric, magical, surrealist novel in the 40s, I think the later 40s, but actually it wasn't published until 1952. Surrealism, of course, had been introduced into the world, but magical realism had yet to be named. This edition also has My Life in the Bush of Ghosts. I did not read that one, but that is included in this one as well. The Palm Wine Drinkard is the first West African novel published in English outside of Africa. It may be the first African novel to be, period, actually. Dylan Thomas championed it. He was a big fan. Raymond Queneau did a translation as well. And Sartre read it and had some interesting things to say. Many people have read this, and it's quite a... Well, we'll get to it. It was inspired by the Yoruba folklore of West Africa. I believe Tutuola's parents were actually Christian cocoa farmers, but his grandfather was a follower of the traditional Yoruba religion and a chief, I believe. It's interesting to note that the Yoruba religion is actually the basis for Santeria and Haitian voodoo. All of these religions I find fascinating, though I know very little about them. Tutuola trained as a blacksmith and eventually joined the British Royal Air Force in Nigeria during World War II. He wrote this book, which is based off of folk tales, when he was 27 or so, but didn't know how to get it published. So I think eventually he sent it to a Christian publisher, and they were like, yeah, we're not going to publish this because we only do Christian material, but we're going to pass this along because it's really strange. And the rest is history. The style of English in which it's written is what really makes it. More on that in a bit, though. In simple terms, this is a story about a guy from a wealthy family who likes palm wine. And I mean, he really likes palm wine. He drinks tons of it, like a lot. Total alcoholic. But the repercussions aren't so bad, it seems, because it's a fable. He just puts it back. He's just like impossible amounts. So he drinks a lot of palm wine, and his tapster, this guy who he has a personal palm wine tapster who climbs up the palm tree and makes it for him. His tapster happens to drink too much one day and falls from the palm tree he's tapping and dies. They find him and bury him at the foot of the palm tree. And then the narrator can't find a way to get palm wine as good. So, naturally, as if it were obvious, right? He's got to go find his palm wine tapster in the Dead's town, like the Dead's town, right? So he can once again have his quality palm wine, as he can't make it as well himself. And not only has he lost his beverage of choice, he's lost his friends who don't come around anymore, because he doesn't have the good stuff. So he embarks on an extremely long and arduous journey, spanning years, to the Dead's town, to find his dead palm wine tapster, and presumably bring him back. I've never had palm wine. I tried to order some, but I couldn't find any. I don't think it has a long shelf life, so it might be tough to get shipped. Might be one of those things you gotta have fresh to really experience it, I don't know. But if anybody knows where to get it, Amos really sold it. I mean, after you read this book and read about all the trials, all the things that he overcomes to get this tapster, the first feeling one gets is that, well, hell, it must be good. So, within the main story of the narrator's journey seeking his dead palm wine tapster from the Dead's Town are a series of adventures featuring the man and his wife. They encounter strange creatures and towns and their inhabitants. It plays out like a long, bizarre dream with many tonal shifts, going from humorous to kind of horrifying and violent. But all of it follows its own myth or dream logic. So while it's often surprising, the premise has been set, and we just go with it. The Nigerian poet Omolara Ogundipe Leslie said that the good storyteller is ever present in the palm wine Drinkard, speaking to us in warm human tones, genial, good-natured, and unpretentious. And that was about as accurate a description of the narrator that I could find. I think that's perfectly accurate, and really what's so enjoyable about the story. It's so inviting, right? And it never takes itself too seriously. Although, who knows? One could read into certain portions in a more serious manner if one chose. I don't know. I'm no expert. I'm just a guy on YouTube who reads books. It's friendly. It's fun, right? It's fun. Like, it's fun to read. It feels like an oral tale, right? It's, you know, it's almost meant to be spoken aloud. It's fun to read out loud, you know? Because the language is sort of, it's always kind of hypnotic. It's always like looping and coming back. And some of the story is very, very funny. There was some controversy back in the day regarding its writing style, which has been called Pidgin English. And this is what really makes the novel unique. It gives it its own voice. Well, so while it seems that Tutuola eventually got recognition, it took too long, and what you had here was an unfortunate situation, according to Wikipedia, where some publications in the West did not take the book seriously, and this led to African intellectuals being concerned with the book giving the wrong impression and confirming racist stereotypes in Africa. However, over time, opinions changed, rightfully so. And if we take the novel by itself, as influenced by Yoruba folktales with the intention of making more people aware of Yoruba culture, it's an extremely unique piece of writing. I've never read anything like it. Tutuola has a voice entirely his own, and it feels like the real deal. There's an authority, there's an authenticity to the voice that is unlike anything I've ever read before. Reading the book feels like you're reading something from someone who has grown up hearing those stories. It feels authentic. And that's basically what Sartre said as well. It's dark, humorous folklore. Now, if you wanted to go deep, there's certainly that option. I feel if you're into Carl Jung, you know, kind of the idea of symbols and archetypes and religion, this is definitely up your alley. But it can be enjoyed in a very surface level way as well, which I feel is a quality of a lot of great art. It can function as pure entertainment. I think if you were to tell it to kids, well, they might have nightmares, but you know. But I think they get just as much out of it as adults. That's not a common piece of art, by the way. That's kind of, that's sort of succeeding on a level that a lot of books don't. So as far as my personal favorite moments in the book, I love the story of how the man finds his wife, who eventually accompanies him on his journey. But he starts off initially, and so in the beginning of his journey, in exchange for directions to the Dead's Town from this man, this one man, thinking he won't be able to do it, tells the narrator, who is unnamed, to bring death to him. So the narrator goes to Death's house, and like, you know, I don't know if he knocks on the door, he might, I don't remember. But they like get in a fight, so he gets like in a fight with Death, and then they like make up, and he like crashes at Death's house or something like that, and then he like, you know, there's this whole exchange. It's just ridiculous. Everything is anthropomorphized in the book. Heaven and land, death, you know, all these things, right? And it's just funny, I don't know. So he captures him, he captures Death, and he brings him back to the man in that town, subsequently bringing Death to the town. And then, of course, all hell breaks loose. Doesn't get the directions, though, unfortunately. The next man, who I believe is the head of another town, requests that the narrator save his daughter from a creature in the market. His daughter had followed a man she saw in the market. Very beautiful man, very handsome, terrifically dressed, just great looking. Perfectly complete gentleman. Too perfect. So then we hear her story, what happened to her, right? She follows him, and he gradually begins taking back all of his body parts to the places that he's rented them from. So he takes back his feet here, his legs there, his arms there, and he's just hobbling along to each place, right? And he pays each lender for the body parts until he's just a head, rolling around. And even then, he gives back the skin he's rented until he's just a skull. A rolling skull. Now this woman is trapped with a skull. He's kidnapped her, and our narrator has to save her from this family of skulls in their lair. Perfectly complete gentleman indeed. It's great imagery. It kind of reads like a proverb. Do not follow unknown man's beauty. The chapters are set up this way, right? Declarations in all caps referring to the contents of the chapter. I think it's brilliant. Let's read some. Do not follow unknown man's beauty. But when they had traveled about 12 miles away from that market, they left the road on which they were traveling and started to travel inside an endless forest in which only all the terrible creatures were living. Return the parts of body to the owners, or hired parts of the complete gentleman's body to be returned. As they were traveling along in this endless forest, then the complete gentleman in the market that the lady was following began to return the hired parts of his body to the owners, and he was paying them the rentage money. When he reached where he hired the left foot, he pulled it out, he gave it to the owner, and paid him, and they kept going. When they reached the place where he hired the right foot, he pulled it out and gave it to the owner and paid for the rentage. Now both feet had returned to the owners, so he began to crawl along on the ground. By that time, that lady wanted to go back to her own town or her father, but the terrible and curious creature, or the complete gentleman, did not allow her to return or go back to her town or her father again, and the complete gentleman said thus, I had told you not to follow me before we branched into this endless forest which belongs to only terrible and curious creatures. But when I became a half-bodied, incomplete gentleman, you wanted to go back. Now that cannot be done. You have failed. Even you have never seen anything yet. Just follow me. It's totally weird. It's great. That was my favorite part. So it's a little bit of Hercules and a little bit of Orpheus set in Africa with this weird psychedelic Jodorowsky vibe, where things become absurd, switching from kind of light and comical to really dark and violent. Our narrator uses juju to get out of tight spots, so to speak, transforming himself or his wife both into various things, animals, elements, to save themselves. Several times I genuinely laughed out loud. There are some hysterical moments of strange happenings, and a kind of down-to-earth, irreverent humor, which I thought was just great. Like, fucking funny. On the road to the dead's town, there's a lot of dead people traveling. Men, women, and children. They don't like the living so much. Now don't get me wrong, there's absolutely nothing funny about dead babies. But when there are 400 of these bad-tempered dead babies marching on the road to the dead's town, carrying sticks, and remember the dead don't like the living, the narrator and his wife are running, being beaten quite specifically by 400 dead babies with sticks. I know, but it's pretty funny. Yeah, that was funny. I laughed. I've never encountered a style like Tutuola's, and the book is inspiring in its ability to remind us that, yeah, in fiction, anything goes. You can really do anything, like anything. You set the tone, you know? You make your own rules. And you can make it as light or as dark as you prefer. And if the writing is good enough, if the voice is confident and developed enough, if the author knows where he wants to take us, we as readers can't help but just accept it and continue. So it's the Halloween season, and if you are looking for something kind of strange or spooky, or just truly odd, something that is unlike anything else you have ever read, ever, guaranteed, try the Palm Wine Drinkard. Better than food, no doubt. And there are some links to articles below if you'd like to know more as well. So what did I dislike about it? Well, I thought it was redundant in some places. I think the strongest parts are the first and last third. The middle was, there seemed to be a lot of fluff. We quickly become familiar with the formula. I just began to glaze over with like yet another, creature that he and his wife have to outwit or do, whatever. It was just like, yeah, well, hope you enjoy. Cheers. Coffee time. For those of you who are new, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. I take all the names of the patrons on Patreon who have donated $5 or more per video. I place their names in this mason jar, and I pull out a name for every review I do, and I send whoever's name I pull out a hard copy of the book I'm reviewing, plus a bag of coffee. Normally roasted by yours truly, but lately because of the pandemic, roasted by one of the wonderful roasters here in Portland, Oregon, and their coffee is delicious. And it's good to help support small business. If you would like to get on that, you can click on the link below. I really appreciate it. Or go to patreon.com/booksofbetterdhanfood and donate $5 or more per video. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, international shipping is not included. Sorry about that. If you donate $1 or more, you'll get access to the Patreon-only reviews, the Discord channel, plus the Better Than Friday newsletter that I send out every Friday, which is just a list of 5 different things that I'm interested in at any given time. Could be books in the pipeline, films, articles, music, changes week to week. If you think we have similar taste, I think you'll get a lot of value out of that. Also, if you don't want to see ads, I upload all of the reviews for the patrons ad-free. Thanks very much to all the patrons and best of luck. Okay, here we go. Lachlan S. Thank you very much, Lachlan. Really appreciate it. You're going to receive the Palm Wine Drinkard by Amos Tutuola and some delicious coffee. Thanks a bunch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Really helps people see this video, which means more people read these books, and that's awesome. And always remember, bring a book wherever you go. All right. Great to see you as always. Take care of yourselves. Thanks for stopping by. Stay safe out there. Hang on. Hang on tight. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. All right.